Why your kid doesn't like you. Part 6. I'm Sean, I'm a family coach, and I make these videos to be helpful, not hurtful. You're not patient with your children. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Here we go again. Oh my gosh, what's your problem? This freaking kid, man. I shouldn't even had kids. Seriously, what's wrong with you? You are so selfish. They're kids, they're children. You've got to be patient. That comes with the job. If you were around me or my kids and you were not being patient, I'd be like, hey, what the heck is going on with you? This video is called Why Your Kid Doesn't Like You, but if you don't practice patience, then other people may not even like you. You gotta chill out a little bit. Hey, I get it. I got 3 kids, age 17 to 6. It's so hard being patient with our kids. Here's a tip. If you're struggling with patience, it means you're struggling with your emotions. This is normal. You probably didn't have a lot of help from your parents when you were growing up with your emotions. And parenting is the most emotional thing that most of us will ever do. But that is where the magic happens. You work on yourself because you can't thrive in parenting until you can thrive in your emotions. Hey.
Welcome to a Father's Flame podcast today. That clip is from our guest, Sean Donohue, who you may have seen some of his viral TikTok videos where he's giving wise and refreshing advice on parenting, like you just heard. He's known as the Family Coach, and you can find him on TikTok and Instagram at the.family.coach or his website, parentingmodernteens.com. Welcome to a Father's Flame podcast, Sean.
Jeff, what's up? How's it going? Hey, good to be here with you here, man. Really looking forward to this.
No, I'm really excited to talk to you. I mean, the goal of this podcast is to help fathers. I got 5 kids. We have a teenager now. Like, I know I'm gonna benefit from, just talking to you today.
Okay. And, all right, cool.
But first, let's give people a little more about you. So tell us your story and how you got to the point where now you're the family coach.
Yeah, man. Short version is that I was that guy like in college, just didn't know what he wanted to do with his life, with the cargo pants and the long hair. And I was actually doing comedy writing at that time. And I thought I was going to become a comedy writer. Moved to Hollywood. I had plans. I was doing stand-up comedy. It was fun. And a friend of mine said, hey, I'm volunteering with these high school kids down the street in Santa Barbara. Do you want to do that? And I was like, wow, I had such a great experience, like kind of being mentored in some nonprofits and some Christian type environments. Yeah, let's do that. And then it was a very amazing experience. I just started hanging out with this group of kids who were skateboarders, and I taught myself how to skate. And I just loved this experience of being in their life. And then it was just like a major life shift. I just felt like this was I wasn't supposed to do comedy or be a writer. I was supposed to be around kids and mentorship. So fast forward, I did a lot of mentoring and counseling of young people for a long time. And then when I had kids, I started really studying the art of parenting and the psychology of parenting and parenting tools. And then it was just another kind of voice in my head, which I think it was the voice of God just leading me to say, hey, I want to use you to help bring, harmony and love and support to parents. So then I had a business and it started doing really well right off the bat because there's such a huge need, for good support, and there's such a void, and there's so much crazy stuff going on in the world, as you know, Jeff. So then I started making videos on Instagram that nobody watched, and I just kept making more that nobody watched and kept making more that nobody watched. And then, it just finally just kind of clicked. And so now I just have this honor, this privilege of being here in my home office in El Dorado Hills, California, and helping parents through Zoom and through group classes and coaching. And I've got 3 kids and married to my wife, Danielle, for 19 years. That's a short backstory, man.
That is awesome. And did TikTok kind of make you go viral? Is that what really?
Yeah, TikTok, the algorithm was just much more suited for me than Instagram. So yeah, I have a new YouTube channel that's growing slowly. And but yeah, TikTok, my videos just seem to really do well on that. And so yeah, it's been a wild ride, man. It's been on TikTok for just a year now. So just to go from 0 to 500,000 in a year, it's got its ups and downs, that's for sure. But this is part of the ups. Sure. People want to talk to me, and I get to help more people, and so it's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you got on TikTok. I was dabbling with this like meme page, and I was getting content from TikTok, and that's why I got on it when I did. And
Yeah.
then I ran across your stuff, and I was like, this is so good. Like
Thank you.
I appreciate, like, even the clip that I shared, like, to be a good parent, like, you think like, oh, what do I got to do? And it's like, you even said, you got to work on yourself. Like, you don't have patience. Like, that's the problem. It's not your kid per se is the only thing, which in my mind, sometimes it is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what we
So
have going on here is it's pretty cool because there's this term that you might have heard of before. It's called a growth mindset versus like a fixed mindset. It's pretty much this woman wrote a book out of Stanford. It kind of changed the world and the educational system. But what we have here is we've identified that almost every person that you and I know, we actually have a growth mindset towards certain things. So like you're a retired firefighter, you just told me. So you were really probably learning, how do I be the best firefighter that I can? How do I be the, whether it be your hobby or something, you're pushing yourself to grow, to improve. So now what's pretty cool is that one of the ways, like one of the million bazillion ways we're different than our parents is that, especially us men, because this is like a father's flames, we have a growth mindset to parenting now. It's like, I want to be better than my dad was, or I didn't freaking have a dad and I don't know what to do. And so you're looking at these people through books or social media to like guide you and give you tips and tools. And I'm just like, I feel so honored to just like be in this space as like a 44-year-old man who is still learning as I go,
well, that brings up a good point. You're still learning, because like, so where are you at with your kids? Is that clip still accurate? You said you had 3 from.
Yeah. So my kids are just about 8. They got 3 daughters, just about 18, 13, and 6, all daughters. And it's just a lot of estrogen in my house, man. And it's just, it's a wild ride. Yeah. I'm an imperfect husband. I'm an imperfect man. And I don't really get to show that as much as I would like through the videos, because it's just, I'm trying to be more comfortable on camera and showing that. But yeah, man, I have my own struggles, my own life, my own stuff I got to deal with. And I'm very open to talking about it. Just, just like with like in actual conversation,
Sure.
So, yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because I think there is an aspect, social media, I don't know if you want to put out there, the worst things, but there is a value to like kind of opening up and sharing the downside of things, in certain arenas.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Because I think a
Well,
lot
yeah.
of guys are like, and tell me what you think of this. Like, guys, like, I always think, oh man, that guy, like, I know some good dads, that they seem like they have some skill about them that it just seems like they're better than me. Right. And do you run across people that are struggling with that mentality where it's like, because we don't share the downside or that our mistakes, that, people are
Oh
getting
my
the
gosh.
wrong
Yeah.
image?
That's like, yeah, you're totally right. But that's like even like a gross understatement what you said, because like, let's talk about culture, for example. So we're getting more comfortable, our culture of going to learning about fatherhood through podcasts or through YouTube or through TikTok, right? Books have always been there. But the reality is that, everybody we know has an imperfect home and an imperfect marriage. And that just hurts. It hurts so deep. It hurts way beyond any words can even express. So then you look around and you feel like everyone's doing better than you, and you feel and there's so many people, they feel alone, or they feel broken, or they feel ashamed, right? Like if you have a kid who's really acting out or really struggling, it's hard to tell someone, right? Because it's like, or you go tell somebody and they give you some stupid advice, or they don't know what to say. So yeah, so partly what's so great about podcasts is it just brings more humanism, more vulnerability, and more connection to help people know like, hey, you're not alone. Because then the goal would not just be to listen to stories about vulnerability, but the goal for us men to actually to become sharers, and we connect and we share stories of vulnerability and we listen to them, right? Because we need each other.
That's great. I connect with people sometimes. Obviously, I think a lot of people do, when you share a little bit of vulnerability, and it's like, man, I struggle with that, right? And so honestly, that's where your videos kind of got me. I mean, you are speaking to like, sometimes people are like, hey, should I even have had kids? Like when you're emotionally just worked up, you
Right.
know, and I think your
Right.
videos capture this. It's like you just are responding in a way that it's like I'm a kid again, just whining essentially. But
I think what you're talking about, like when I do, is this? I actually am a little confused right now. I
oh, I'm
think what
sorry. I'm
you're
sorry.
talking about is when I like I'll role play on my videos, or
Yes,
I'll
you
mimic a
act
parent.
like the parent.
I'll
Yeah.
act like a parent. You know, it's interesting you said that because I've actually never, Jeff, talked to somebody about what you just said, but I get a lot of comments about it. So I get comments being like, I feel like you're parenting me, or I feel like I'm seeing myself on camera, or I feel like I'm being reparented through you. And I don't actually know exactly what it means because we're talking about a TikTok comment, which is like under like 50 characters. So what do you like? Let me ask you, man, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just saying like things that I have either thought or I even had another parent say to me, like even in that clip, we're just like, man, should I even have had kids? What did I do? You know what I mean? That like
Yeah.
in my mind, like you
Oh
kind of
yeah.
said in your video,
Oh
these
yeah.
like
These
this
dark,
dark side of my mind that I
yeah, I
never
get
shared
it
with anyone.
now.
You
You're talking
know,
about the dark thoughts of a parent. I
they're
put out on camera
yep,
in a lighthearted way.
yep.
I get it. I get it, man. Thank you.
But
Well,
that's
yeah,
what we connect with. So
but that's because we all think, man, because parenting, I even said in that video you showed to open up this interview, parenting is like the most emotional thing that you and I will ever do. And it's so confusing and it's so complex. I think it's way more complex than even like a marriage like relationship where, you know, there's like these social norms and there's boundaries and there's like movies about it. And like now it's like parenting has always been hard. And then you throw in these freaking screens. It's like, what the crap is going on here? Then you throw in all the other stuff we have to deal with now as parents, screen addiction, issues with trans, issues with we can't trust our local school teachers. We can't even trust our local therapists, stuff they're watching on it. We thought we could trust the Disney Channel. We go to Thanksgiving and we don't even know if people are going to be raging about Biden or Trump, or they're going to be talking here, or we don't even know our kids are going to go on or be it's just like, it's wild times to be a parent, isn't it?
yeah, no, you're touching on a lot of pieces that we're juggling. Um, when you say that, really, like we're kind of one of the first generations to have to deal with what you said, screens, right? Like the tech era it's in full force right now. And you know, it wasn't when I was growing up, like I remember getting a computer showing up, right, in
Yeah.
1996. And it was like, whoa, this big ancient thing. It's
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah, it
Now
is.
my like 3-year-old can figure out my iPhone and like she wants her show, right? So we
Mhm.
are fully in the tech
It's
era.
crazy. We are,
And
man.
so we're the generation that's the like first to do this, right? And so we have to figure something out.
Well said. I'm just saying the same thing you just said. We always talk about they're the first generation of kids to grow up with these in their pockets, in their bedrooms, in their backpacks. But we're the first generation of parents who are buying these things for the kids, who want them. And then you've got a generation of teenagers saying, like, you know, I need this. I need it. I need it. I need it. All my friends are on here. I have to have it for school. I need this. I have to have this. This is how we talk to each other. It's like, what the crap? Like, where did, where did the world go? I was having a crisp because this is the 26th that we're filming this on. So 2 days ago, I was having dinner at my in-laws' house, and we were watching that show, like the Christmas Story. And I was looking at some of the setting of the film. I don't think it was filmed back then, but it looked like it was filmed like in the 40s or 50s. They didn't even have like a TV in the house. I mean, it's a janky house like that was filmed in the setting. And then I turned to my in-laws and I say, so like, did they have TV? Like, no offense, did they have like black and white TV when you guys were growing up? And they said no. I was like, shut up. It's like, yeah, we got our first black and white like when I was 6 or 7. I was like, gosh, like in one, like, is it a generation? I guess it'd be one generation. The world has changed so much. Now I have freaking son-in-law who's on TikTok, and you've got like this 95-inch TV screen we're looking at right here, which is like literally it's so big, their TV, like it's so gigantic. And like in your generation, the world has changed so much. I mean, this is just wild. being a human being has changed since like these grandparents, right? Or they're the mid 70s or whatever. That's how old they are. Isn't that crazy, man?
That is wild. It's kind of like how some generations like they come in on like carriage and buggy, and you leave on rocket ships and planes, right?
It's like that, man.
18th century. Yeah, and so, well, let's talk about tips on the screen stuff. Like,
Oh, geez.
let's dig into that because we got to figure this out.
I could definitely give some tips for pretty much, any topic. And before I give you these tips, let me let me ask you opinion on something, okay?
Yeah.
So here's what I do for a job. I sit in my home office here, and I work with one-on-one parents from around the country or the world, or I teach classes. And occasionally for fun, I'll make TikTok videos or do marketing or talk to my team or whatever, or we do like team coaching sessions. But I'm going to say something kind of bold and edgy. You know, I want to get your thoughts on it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
let's do it.
I've been doing this, working with young people and their parents for like 22 years. And people come to me with all types of problems and pickles and struggles and cycles they want to break, or how do we get through to this kid? And I feel like what I've been saying recently, and I don't know how it comes off. So that's what I want to ask you. How's this come off? And maybe you have to think about it. Like, if you come to me with a situation, I'm going to give you like some great tools for your toolbox to either totally solve that problem or manage it and find the sweet spot in it, because we cannot control our children, but we can't control ourselves. And so this is like really a bold statement that I'm saying, but I think it's very exciting and it's very hopeful, because if you take your car to the mechanic, you know, you shouldn't be like shocked when the mechanic fixes the car. Because like, I don't know anybody who got cars, but that's what they do. They devoted their lives and their knowledge to fixing cars and solving problems. So I just say this because I hope it comes off good, and maybe it doesn't. But I think there's just so much to be hopeful for. Like, there is a solution out there for our parenting problems. And I can show you how to solve problems with screens or any type of challenging issue. So I don't know, man. I'm just like being vulnerable right now by asking you. Does this come off as like cocky or like weird or like a know-it-all? Like, or do you think that comes off as like kind of like makes sense?
I think it makes sense because experts are in a field. Like, you can't be an expert at every single thing in life, but you've chosen the path to like study, help, and you have knowledge, understanding, and skill and wisdom in this sector. So for me and where I'm at, those are the people I want to work with, right? Like, who can deliver the help and the product or what I need, right?
All right. Yeah.
So that's how I take that. I don't know how everyone else would take that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. We can only answer for yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. So yeah, here's we could probably talk for hours and hours about screens and all the different psychological issues that come up with screens. I actually have a book that I wrote, Parent's Guide to Breaking Screen Addiction. I have a class that I teach, but here's some big things I've learned about screens. In parenting, it's never about what it's about. It's never about what it's about. The issue is that you're struggling with is always on the surface. So let's say, you know, your two siblings are fighting. They're calling each other names. Your other one kid refuses to do chores. Your one kid keeps acting out in school. Your one kid is just dropping F-bombs around the house. Your one kid is saying, I hate you or hate you. It's never about what it's about. You got to look under the surface. And with screens, it's really a no-brainer. It's not about what it's about. It's not about screens. It's really not even really about dopamine. It's not about friends online. It's not about Minecraft or Fortnite. It's not about the colors or about what they're doing in Silicon Valley. One of the best ways to understand screens is it has to do with trust. These are like these. I'm holding up a phone right now. It's like this is the world's most powerful device. It's more powerful than any phone. I'm sorry. it's more powerful than anything that's ever been created. It's more powerful than a bomb, a gun, a chainsaw, because it has the ability to change your mind. And so a couple of tips, pointers that I've learned of being in the front lines of this and doing a lot of reading and teaching about this is, your kids are going to be okay without screens, even your teenagers. Yet there is a way to give people screens in a very trustworthy way. Just like you could give a teenager a hunting rifle, they need proper teaching and mentorship and boundaries. They need to understand how emotional it is to hold a chainsaw or a rifle, or, how powerful it is to drive a car. And this person needs to know they're not entitled to this screen, but they earn it from trust and from gratitude and from having self-control. Because yes, an ADHD child who is has the ability to show that they have self-control. Actually, they do. But most 8-year-olds and most 13-year-olds, they don't have the ability to have full self-control over their screens in their life. That's normal. I've been around your sons and your sons and daughters for 22 years, reading about them, observing them, and it shouldn't come to a surprise. Most 14-year-olds I know, they do not have the intellectual capability or to have self-control around screens. They needed someone's help. That kind of makes sense. Like if you put a whole bunch of like porno magazines underneath my bed when I was a kid growing up, and a whole bunch of Sour Patch Kids, and you'd be like, hey, son, just don't be looking at that stuff or don't be eating that stuff. I probably wouldn't do very well. You know what I mean? It's too tempting. It's very tempting. So trust. So building a culture of trust in your home is super key. This is also why my kids can do their chores with excellence without being asked once, or maybe just being asked once. Because one of the best ways to build homes of harmony and love and order is to build homes of trust. So you're not micromanaging your kids, reminding them, nagging them, yelling at them, and you're also not avoiding them or people pleasing them, right? Or just rescuing them. So I could go on and on, but that would be something to think about, is how do we build trust in our homes around screens with our kids?
I like that. I like how you're bringing up self-control. Reminding me of a proverb that I was reading recently. It had something to do with, it's similar to like Proverbs 25:28. Like a city that's broken without its walls, so is a person who has no self-control over his spirit. Just the value of maintaining your vessel, your body.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, whose job is it though? Let's just like take that. It's like a little train here. Let's build like a little train. So whose job is it to teach our sons and daughters about trust and self-control? Are they ever going to take a class on the psychology of trust, how to build it, how to break it, how to repair it, what it is, how it's so important to every human relationship? Are they ever going to take a class on self-control, what it is, why it's so hard, why it matters? No. So who's going to teach them this stuff, Jeff?
That's us, the parent.
Father's flame, man. Right?
Yeah.
We are teachers, for better or worse. It's a lot of power.
That's good. No, I think that's one of the number one responsibilities we have, that I'll be honest, that I've struggled with, which is, like, how do I teach this kid jumping off the walls and wants to play, and his attention span is like 4 seconds maybe.
Right.
But I feel like I was eager when my kids were younger, and I was like, I just got burned out. And it's like, well, I'll just wait till they're older. They're not listening. And that's the wrong approach. I'm saying that as,
man, you're speaking all of our language though. Like that's just a good example of like saying that loud for your viewers to hear, because yeah, man, it's just too hard. It's so painful to teach. It's so frustrating to try to teach and to feel emotions, like these emotions. Have you ever felt these before? Have you ever felt powerless, unheard, unwanted? Have you ever felt scared that you're raising the janky kid? I mean, have you ever felt that as a parent, a father of 5? Have you ever felt that?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm in playing catch up now, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, how do I capture his heart? Like, because this kid may end up really weird, or this kid may be estranged from me, right?
Scared. Estrangement is super scary now. We wouldn't even know what that word was when we were growing up. So
Yeah,
you're already talking about estrangement, and your oldest is 13. I mean, that's how
yeah.
emotional. I mean, you're
Well,
making up a story in your head about estrangement, which people don't even know what that word is. What estrangement means is, and this is something we all need to become aware of, because Instagram is so janky and it's pushing. Estrangement is when one family member pretty much like puts up a wall from another family member, and they said, don't talk to me, I don't want anything to do with you, leave me alone. And we see this happening more and more because Instagram is telling us to do it, to cut toxic people out of our lives.
ooh, interesting.
And it's so painful, man. Do you think having a kid who does drugs or hates you is painful? That's painful. But dude, having a kid or an adult child who is estranged from you, that's a level of pain that I hope no one will ever feel. And I've never felt it, but I've experienced that personally in other relationships. In my own family dynamic, we've had to deal with that. I'd rather not get
Wow.
into that right
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've felt, well, I do some reflecting. Obviously, I spend time, in the mornings with the Lord, and I haven't always done it, but the
Yeah.
last like 10 months I've been doing it, and it's like he tells you stuff. And
Mhm.
that's where I got that. It's like got this vision of, okay, if you continue this course of action,
Mm,
what does it look like in 10, 20 years? And it's like, oh, that
right.
doesn't look good. Okay,
No.
I'm going to start making some changes. And so for me, it's getting in the Word of God. It's, you know, educating myself in certain
Yeah.
areas. And
Yeah.
so, and talking to excellent, awesome guys like you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is like good that we're doing this, because I'm going to listen to some of the episodes on your podcast. I'm going to learn from you, from this conversation, and be sharpened from this conversation. And we need to do this for each other. And one of the reasons why we need to do this and support each other as men, as dads, as uncles, as future grandparents, man, that's going to be dope. I can't wait to be a grandpa. But partly it's because so few of us got great mentorship from our dads or our grandfathers growing up, and now we're like aware of that now more than ever, because you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know, you're like a crappy swimmer until you watch Michael Phelps swim. You may not know you're not thriving as a father until you start listening to other fathers who are thriving, right? You don't know you might have a problem with alcohol until you go to an AA meeting, you start listening to these painful stories. So partly the beauty of these podcasts that we're making right now is we're just, we're raising the bar like on ourselves, and we're challenging ourselves. And then because both you and I are both believers in the Lord, we're then relying on the Lord, for strength, not doing that in our own power, right? Because it's hard, man. It's hard being a great man and a great father these days. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. What do you think faith plays a part? Like, so for me and you, that's going to be different than everyone else, but like, how does your faith play a part
Hmm.
in what you've developed as the family coach?
Oh, dude, what a question. Oh my gosh. No one's ever asked me that, because some people have asked me the question, how does faith play a part of your life as a father? But you actually asked me like using my like handle, right? And so that's a different question, because um, they have a lot of the answer to that question has a lot of similarities. Um, Let me answer it by telling you two stories. Does that sound good? All right. I'll tell you a dark story, and then a story that is hopefully going to make you laugh. Is that cool?
Let's do it.
I've never told these stories before, so I don't even know how they're going to land. It's actually pretty scary being vulnerable on camera like this, being sharing these stories. So, like, how do I want to say this in public here? I made some bad choices about 4 months ago, which I'd rather not really get into, but I made some bad choices with alcohol and just choices in my mindset. So that unfortunately, the man that was still showing up on these video screens is not perfect and has bad days. And I had like a really bad 10-day period where I did not take care of myself, and I was just letting some stupid stuff come out of my mind and out of my mouth. I just was not the loving husband or father that I want to be or that I'm used to being. And my family did not handle it well. No family would handle that well. But because I've raised my kids to be very articulate and strong women, they let me know. Oh man, they let me know. It was so hard and so humbling. But so thankful for them, to call me out on my BS. But it was so heartbreaking. And it was just such a freaking farce, man, putting out these videos about fatherhood and then not showing up. It's a mind game, man. It's so tough. So tough. It makes me think of pastors. They go up and they teach these good things. But dude, you can't, you got to show up in your family if you're going to be teaching that stuff. So, but they're not, they're imperfect, right? You can't just put it on the shelf, right? And just like have two lives. So I took like about a 40-day fast and a break from posting to get good in my head, to get healthy and to reinvest in my mental health and in my marriage and to rebuild the trust. And thankfully, I did what I said I was going to do, and they saw me do it, and trust is rebuilt and stronger than ever. That's awesome. That wasn't long ago, right? And I'm still on that path, so I'm going to go at least 1 year without any alcohol. So I'm on like month 4 now, and it's going good. I don't miss it. And some other choices that I've made, which have been really good for me. So before I tell you the next story, do you have any? Did I answer your question? Did I, in a creative way? Did I answer that? Was that like being a father and having a large social media following?
Yeah, I think I'm glad you shared that. I mean, that's definitely relatable. I see a lot of similar tendencies with successful men and godly men. And that's kind of one of them, is the ability to like admit a wrong, share the wrong, you're on the right path, and then just like moving forward and maintaining your family and fixing a problem. Like, I think that's a skill set like we all should have, right? Instead of these problems just break our families and then, okay, well, we're separate, we're divorcing, right? And so I love that you're I love that you're sharing that.
Yeah, like it's one thing for me to talk about this or teach this to another client or make a video about this or teach a course, but we want to fight for our family. We want to be these strong fighters, right? Because it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, that's for sure. But how we fight is actually really important, because how society has taught us to fight is actually not how you fight. Because you can't fight with force and swearing. Like, all the skills you have as a first responder, as a soldier, a Marine, as a firefighter, as a savvy business person, you don't fight with those skills when it comes to love and marriage and children. You have to fight with humility, and you fight with openness and vulnerability, and you lead with that, and you fight with wisdom, and you fight with goodness. That's how you fight. And that's different than how society and all these action movies have taught us how to fight.
This is powerful. I'm going to go back to your faith, essentially. Do you think you would have become this or had this wisdom apart from your faith if you were, didn't have that foundation?
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to give you like a very, very bold response. Like, I could not make this any bolder what I'm about to say. like all the wisdom I have is from the Lord. Like it's kind of miraculous, the stuff that comes out of my mouth sometimes when I'm with clients. Like, I'm like, where did that come from? And I don't feel like it's from me. I feel like the Lord gets all the credit here, because he's guiding my coaching to these hurting families and these men. And just, I have done a lot of work and research and a lot of hard work to get to this point, but yeah, I just, I don't take any of it like it's me. I just don't even feel that way, to be honest.
Yeah, I would just say, like, a lot of it just resonates with, like, to me, like, I got scripture verses just going spinning through my mind with all that you're saying. I'm like, dude, he's saying like what Paul taught us. He's saying what Proverbs teaches us. Anyways, and so I just hear.
Well, yeah, that's the. I mean, yeah, like I'll say it this way, because like, I believe that the Bible is amazing and perfect, and it's taught us how to do things in an excellent manner, even hygiene, plumbing, construction. It's all in there. It's just wickedly, not wicked. That's like an East Coast slang word. I'll go with wild, because you can't say Bible and wicked. It's just wild, the type of knowledge that's in there. And so I just feel like I'm just like kind of like I'm supposed to be kind of like a mouthpiece.
Sure.
An edgier regular dude who likes Costco hot dogs and watches football on Sundays, and I'm just like supposed to teach goodness and good tools in just like in a way that people like to listen to it. That's what I kind of feel like what I do for a living. It's pretty fun.
No, I think we're all benefiting from you walking in. It's like you're walking in that perfect assignment that it's only you could really walk in, based on your education, who you are.
Yeah, I just don't want to screw it up. I don't want to screw it up. But here's something interesting that I want to share. So we adopted this puppy about 3 months ago. His name's Robbie, and it's pretty crazy having a puppy, especially when you have no experience with dogs. I was actually attacked by a dog once, even, so I was even like afraid of dogs. But my 13-year-old wants a puppy and wants a dog. So we finally pull the trigger and we get a freaking puppy. And it's, oh my gosh, it's like a lot harder than I thought, but not like what I thought was going to be hard. Because Arabi is a beautiful, like, red Australian Labradoodles. You can even see him in my, some of my videos. And compared to most puppies, I'm just learning this as I go. He's like extremely obedient. Like, he doesn't bark at people. He doesn't like chew our furniture. And like, compared to like a lot of puppies, Robbie's like the man. And but what's hard about the puppy, Jeff, is freaking the family dynamics. Because I realized early on that, like, in any type of like thing in the world, you need chiefs and you need Indians, right? There's only one cook in the kitchen. And I realized early on, like, dude, my wife and my oldest daughter, they don't want me to be a chief here. They want me to be an Indian. And so I was like, okay, guys, all right, I'm realizing now this isn't going to work. Like, whenever I try to become a chief, you guys like gang up against me. And rightly so, because they were watching all these YouTube videos about how to be a dog trainer while I'm like upstairs, watching Jackass Forever on Netflix, which is so hilarious. Oh my gosh. And now they're like, you don't know anything about dogs. You didn't watch any of the videos. They're like, good point. So then they're doing it. And I'm like really getting emotional now, because they're not doing certain things to the dog to discipline him that I would want them to do. And now I'm getting afraid, emotions, that we're going to have this raging freaking dog creature going around and tapping my 6-year-old, which really drives me nuts. Maybe because I was attacked by a dog. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't want no dog jumping up on my 6-year-old, right? She's freaking 6. She's amazing. She's cute. She's in first grade. I haven't lost her tooth yet. And dog's doing this and doing that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking hard being an Indian. And I'm like 6'2" man. I own my own business. I have employees. I like being in charge. I'm pontoon captain. It's probably one of the most important things in my life is driving my pontoon around, man. That thing's changed my life. Talk about the best decision of my life is getting a pontoon. Beginning of COVID times. Dude, You got to get in that life. If you guys have not been on a pontoon in 80+ degree water, what are you waiting for? We got like this lake, Folsom Lake here. Johnny Cash went to Folsom Prisms just down the street. And the water here gets to be like 85 degrees. And it is so nice. So we're there like from June until October, rocking it in that lake. Maybe not October because that gets a little cold. So, but now I'm just struggling with the puppy. And so here we are just yesterday. We got this new shock collar for the dog. And I tested it out. I put it on my neck, and they got shocked like 25 times at level 1 because I wanted to see how I was going to hurt me to get shocked, which you'd be shocked at how shocking it is. Level 1, getting shocked on your neck. I didn't even want to go to number 2. Number 1 was enough. So, and I put it in my wrist and different parts because the day you shocked the dog right on the throat, which is kind of messed up, right? So, so we have never shocked the dog, but there's a beeping sensor and then there's a vibrating sensor. So here we are on Christmas. We got presents all over the place. We got mother-in-law here, and Robbie's being a cool cat when I come down for Christmas morning. Like, he's not eating anything. I was like, dude, Robbie, you are the Snoop Dogg. You are like being great, man. Good boy. Because now we got these commands, and he's really doing well in a lot of ways. But then, as you can imagine, now we're opening up presents, and he's starting to get aggressive, right? Because he's, chewing stuff and he's biting stuff. And I say, guys, like, Dad, take care of the dog. And I was like, guys, it's Christmas morning. I don't want to be on dog duty for the next 2 hours here. I'm trying to like cross my legs and drink coffee like a normal person. And like, Dad, like, well, let's go tie him up then. And I don't want to be like watching a dog. I'm trying to chill out. Can we just tie him up? No, Dad. I was like, okay, well then give me the shocker, and I'll be in charge. Like, no, Dad, no. And I'm like, what? I was like, I got it. I got the shocker. No, Daddy, we don't want you to have the shocker. I was like, why not? It's like, we don't trust you. I was like, you're joking me. You guys do not trust me with the shocker? No. We feel like you're going to shock him. I've never shocked him. I will just beep him, maybe vibrate him. No. So here I am. I'm the freaking family coach, man. I got a business. I'm a man. I'm 6'2", and I provided for my family. My wife stays home, and my own family doesn't even freaking trust me with the dog beeper. Like, what is that? If that's not like a picture of modern day fatherhood, doesn't that freaking story suck? It sucks. So guess what? Like a little puppy dog, I'd hand over the shocker to my wife or to a 13-year-old. It's so stupid. And I'm just like thinking to myself, all right, man, this is just, it's like, you're not in charge. You can't control these people. This is just accept you're an Indian. You brought this puppy into this world, and just try to make the most of it, but trust them. And it just makes me think, like, you go on listen to these awesome like men, like, the Joe Rogans, and you think he's so masculine, he's so tough. But the reality is he goes home and his teenage daughter probably says, Dad, give me the dog shocker. I don't trust you with it. Dad, don't do the dishes this way. Dad, how many times I told you? Dad, you can't load the dishwasher this way. And then Joe says, okay, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. You're right. Right? That's what happens.
Oh, yeah.
That's the real world.
Oh, yeah.
Joe is being rude to his teenage daughters? No, he's not. He's not. He's probably handing over the shock collars because he knows, like, hey, this is like what it means like to be a good dad. You got to pick your battles wisely. Sometimes you're a chief and sometimes you're an Indian. Sometimes your wife's the chief. And sometimes your 13-year-old gets to be the chief because that's what you do. It's not about you. It's about teamwork. And so, yeah, man. And this story is it continues because I don't know if your listeners listen to this, but my dog was even barking when Jeff and I were doing the sound check on this. And my mic is so dang good, I had to go tell the Nana who's still staying the night here, and then go to the 13-year-old, get your lazy butt out of bed and go take care of your dog because the dog is barking because no one's taking care of it, and it's coming up on my freaking Yeti mic because it's so powerful. So that's a day in the life for me right there, man.
Day in the life. That's funny. Sometimes you got to put like the varsity people in charge if we're really the only junior varsity level, skill set. Like, so I don't think we're going to be the best at every piece. So I hear what you're saying,
teamwork.
But almost like handing the reins, to the kids. But that's kind of good, right? You're saying
it is good.
That they get an opportunity for, leading something.
Right.
having
Yeah,
responsibility.
let's put our opportunity as much as we can. It's your responsibility to do your schoolwork, to do these chores. This dog is your chore. This is your chore. This is your responsibility. But it's hard. It's hard being a chief to delegate, right, your chiefdom to our family members. But that is normal and healthy.
So that's a
And
skill set we should have then,
absolutely,
really.
right? Right. And this
Yeah.
is where, like, do we want to trust them fully with a screen? I'd say heck no. Right? Do we want to trust them with a dog? Sure. Right? So it's about this another example of the story of Robbie the dog that just happened just yesterday. It's just another example of how challenging parenting is because it's just so emotional. And
Sure.
I could have handled myself in a lot of negative ways that way. I've already told you some negative stories, but I showed up and I did well. And I wasn't hyper weird about having the kids throw all the wrapping paper into the black garbage bags. I let it go. I was chill because I could have been weird about it. And it could have been weird. Like, just like a lot of dads, you're listening, you're laughing right now. You're like, oh,
Oh,
dude,
dude.
I missed that one, man. I was too weird. Like, just be honest right now. Were you a little bit weird? I just met you, Ed. So just throwing it.
Oh,
Were you a
dude.
little bit weird with that yesterday? Did you go
Oh,
overboard?
yeah. Well, we do Hanukkah. And so we were doing Hanukkah presents, same thing. And I'm like, my systemized mindset, like I used to work at Home Depot. I could have a pallet of just product in the aisle, unpack it, load it, and they taught you to be clean and
Clean.
organized and get
Yeah.
everything out.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this and I'm like, dude, you guys are just throwing boxes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just try and you start playing the drum as soon as you get it out and you're running around and the wrapping paper, we're going to slip on wrapping paper. And it's, oh my goodness.
Oh,
But
yeah, you
that's why
fired
I'm
me.
laughing.
You got to be the weirdest, though. You're the
Oh,
worst
oh,
because
for
you're
safety
highly
stuff.
organized,
Yeah.
highly structured, highly
Yeah.
safety. Then you come
Yeah.
in, you get all weird with your kids because you're bringing all that highly organized structure safety, and you got a 6-year-old who's got a tooth missing and the other finger up his nose and his other finger's up in his butt, and he's just trying to be kid, man. And you're coming in with your safety speech,
Oh my
right?
goodness. Okay, I think I hear what you're trying to say. Like, yeah, they didn't get the like 13 years of training I got. They're just,
Yeah, they did.
6
They're
years old. They
just
don't know
6.
nothing.
They don't know nothing,
Oh,
man.
that is so funny.
They don't know nothing. I was
You're
weird
just
yesterday because we were watching a movie, and as a family, what movie was it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. And the child was leaning up against a window in the movie, like. And I have a 2-story house, and my daughter's bed, the 6-year-old bed is up against the window, and I do not want her near that window. Because I've
Yeah.
made up this story in my head that she's going to fall through the window one day, or a child's going to fall through the window and die. I made this story up in my head, and I'm not even a first responder. I don't have the trauma that a lot of the first responders do. And so I'm watching this movie, and unfortunately, I let it come out of my mouth. I say, "Oh, that's not safe. I should not be leaning against that window." You got weird, man. It's like
total dad move. There
total
you go.
dad move, right? It's like, and like they all turn to me like. And I'm like, but it bothers me because the 6-year-old is like, Dad, that is safe. Now she's really messing with me. So then I gotta get weirder, and I gotta turn and say, no, honey, I tell you all the time, that's not safe. Do not lean against windows. And then we go back to watching the movie. But that's just like, this is like how it leaks out, how we struggle with our emotions. It leaks out in everyday stuff, right? And how we handle with the puppy, how we handle they leaning against windows, how we handle them putting the dog barking, or putting the Christmas wrapping paper into the black bag to keep it organized so we don't throw away the checks from grandma for $15, right?
Oh, I like how you call it. I got weird. I was weird. That's funny. Okay.
Right, but we don't think it's
I'm gonna
weird.
think
That's the
that.
problem. If we don't think that's weird, then
Yeah.
we're weird. If we don't think that's weird, then we're being weird.
Yeah.
We don't think it's weird. You didn't think it's the listeners are some of us are laughing right now. You're like, I never even thought about that because you just think that's normal because
we think it's right. Because it is right.
You think you're so smart, and we think we're so smart, and we think we got it all figured out, and we know what's best for our family, and they need to do it our way. And that is a dangerous thought.
Interesting. I feel like you brought this up earlier, and it's just like these mental thoughts that they're just not true, but we've played this bad, this bad thing, not memory, but you just made up something that could hurt your kid. And it's like, you're kind of living in the negative, right? Essentially thinking of all these negative things that can happen and keep your kids safe.
I teach it. I teach what you just said. I have a process for this, and assessments and tools. And essentially, I'll just say the same thing you said, living in the negative. Essentially, I call it the fear cycle. And it's different for everybody. And as strong and as masculine and as confident as you think you are, whether you're David Goggins or Joe Rogan or Jeff or me, if you are not fully aware of your fears and how they're manifesting and tempting you, then you're missing out. And you're probably not thriving as a man, a husband, or a father as well as you think you are.
Interesting. How do you let go of these things? Because I have a few ideas in my head, but how do you get out of the fear cycle?
Okay, so you don't let go of them. You actually do the opposite. Don't do what Frozen tells you to do. Let it go. That's father of. I'm getting weird now. That's a father of three.
Dude, hey, that had a Disney comic had to come out.
It's such a great movie, though, dude. It's so great. Let it go. It's so no, you don't let it go. First, you open your eyes and you embrace it, and you realize how scared you are, and you don't let that go. You get to know it. You become friends with your fear. You study yourself, and you study how your fear is impacting your thinking and your mindset, and how it's convinced you that things are normal when they're actually not normal, or things are not scary when they actually are scary, or things that are scary when they're actually not scary. I know I'm kind of speaking in code here, but if you know, you know. If you know what I'm talking about, do you know what I'm talking about? I've been trying to tell you these stories about my life through like the side door of this entire podcast. And I think you've been getting my stories, right? Even though they may not be as directly delivered as they could have been, because it's just no fun telling stories directly. It's more fun telling them about Robbie the dog.
Yeah, that's good. That's clever.
So, all right, let's talk. So what do you think? Do you, let me ask you a personal question. You can pass and put you on the spot.
Okay.
Have you done work on yourself to really get to know some of the things you're really afraid of as a dad and as a husband?
I don't know about doing work, what that means, but like I'll share one of the things that I'm afraid of, like my kids getting hurt. Like, well, I guess it's two things. It's like really just chat my hide thinking about is like a kid getting like molested or abducted, and it's like in some ways it's really far fetched, but in some ways, maybe not so far fetched.
Right.
I feel like I'm trying to put systems in place, to like keep our kids like from certain places where they could be vulnerable.
Right. Of being
and I also,
yeah.
And then I feel like the chances of it happening are pretty slim, but in my mind, I think of it as higher. I don't know.
Right. So we can change the subject if you want, but let me ask a couple of follow-up questions on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we know statistically that's extremely, extremely rare for a child to be abducted. Now, if you're living in like inner city East Oakland, where child trafficking is much higher, then the chances of a child who has no family, no dad, of being abducted is much higher. But I know a lot of loving, amazing people who are being raised in East Oakland or in, areas like that, right? But we know that the stats on molestation, unfortunately, are really high. It's really sick, disgusting. So on one hand, are these logical fears or are they illogical? Well, probably both, right? Unfortunately, right? And that's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. That's why so many parents don't do sleepovers anymore, because there's enough evidence out there to suggest you cannot trust that uncle or that cousin. It's just, or that mentally unstable teenager. You know what I mean? It's sad.
Yeah.
So, but this is where I'm gonna do what I do with my clients. I'm gonna ask you a very pointed question that's gonna feel like maybe like a little jab or like a sword that's gonna pierce you. But I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help. And this is an example of the work, right? It can manifest itself in a lot of different ways.
Sure.
This is like you're inviting me to do this. So are you sure you want me to ask you a couple
Let's
of
do
juicy
it.
questions? Okay.
Yep.
It's not that juicy either compared to the juice that I can produce. Okay, I didn't mean to make that rhyme. Okay, so
All right.
on one hand, you're a fireman, so we know you're retired, so we know that this, and you're a podcast host, so we know you're highly structured, highly disciplined, and you're very highly into safety. More than 99.5% of the other human beings out there, you're into safety. So that would logically make sense that you want to create systems to create safety, because you, as a fire chief or higher person, whatever your role was, you were around systems and you were very comfortable with systems. How am I doing so far?
Good. Accurate.
Now you gotta, if your 13-year-old thinks like you, like this 13-year-old, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl at this point, even though you told me what it is into systems, has the same relationship with systems, has the same relationships with fear, and is just as equally afraid of being abducted or molested as you are. Well, then you and this 13-year-old are going to get along peaches and cream. No problems. But that's probably not going to happen, because what's probably going to happen is that your 13-year-old, as well as all of your kids, are going to have a different relationship with safety and different fears, and not be as afraid of things as you are, because they haven't seen what you've seen, and they haven't had to struggle with some of the stuff you've seen or the PTSD that you've already been through. Right?
Right on.
So then now you're going to then try to convince yourself potentially, or convince them, this is what I need to do. It's my job to keep you safe. But that's actually not your job with a 13-year-old. If you think that's your job, well, then who the hell am I? You can end this call right now and just ignore me. I don't think that's your job. Your job is to not keep a 13-year-old safe. Your job is to teach a 13-year-old how to keep themselves safe. Because if you're trying to keep a 13-year-old safe, you're not going to have a good relationship with that teenager. And there is a certain age, and it's probably, I think it's around age 8, when you have to stop trying to keep your kids safe. Because you want to keep your kids safe, you're going to screw them up, and you're going to shelter them, and then they're going to have anxiety and depression, and they're going to be on screens, and then you're going to be calling me and spending all types of money on therapy or whatever on that issue. So then this is the question. Are these systems that you are creating in your mind and in your home, are they actually for the kids, or are they actually just for your own emotions and your own emotional well-being? Because you do not want to feel powerless or scared, and it helps you to feel better.
After hearing that I shouldn't be trying to keep them safe, but teach them to be safe, then my system is for me. But it's like in the heart and intention of protecting them. Truly, it is protecting my mind, or, you know.
Right. So is me trying to keep all the wrapping paper from Christmas in the garbage bags. Is that actually for them to make a nice Christmas so they don't throw away their toys or their little? Is it actually adding value to Christmas? Because they'll have a more enjoyable Christmas with a cleaner, ribbon-free living room? Or is it
They don't
really
care
about me? Because I prefer it to be effing tidy, because it just feels better when I'm drinking my latte, and it helps me to have more order, so I can just enjoy it for myself. Right? It's a no-brainer, man. It's the second one.
Yeah.
Is the fact that I freak out when my 6-year-old when my dog jumps on my 6-year-old, is it is, am I really trying to keep her safe? Well, yeah, I am. I don't want her to get scarred or emotionally scarred by a freaking puppy or a dog. I don't want to get bit. It's not okay. But it's this puppy and it's a Labradoodle and they don't have sharp teeth. And maybe I have some drama being attacked by a dog when I was 21. I don't, you know what I mean? This is, thank God, this is why I have a partner called a wife. I can check in with her and I can submit being a chief and trust her to be the chief, because I do trust her, even though it's hard to trust.
That's good.
This is why it's super scary to let your 11-year-old take their bike to their friend's house, because you don't want them to get molested or kidnapped by a creeper van. But bro, dude, what were we doing when we were 11, man? Dude, I was putting miles on that BMX, man, on that mountain bike. I was putting miles at age 11, weren't you? I was doorbell ditching and having a blast playing pickup hoop. What were you doing when you were 11? Were you
on
a
I was
screen
gone all
24/7?
day.
Oh,
No,
yeah, you were gone all day. Literally,
yeah.
what were you doing when you were 11, man?
I was gone all day
Where'd you race?
on the
Where you
bike.
raised? Where were you raised?
Yakima, Washington.
Dude,
That's probably one of the worst parts of Washington.
I said to my wife, I was like, I want to move to Yakima, Washington right now. She's like, why? I was like, dude, I love it up there. I love Ellensburg. And I went to a wedding there. And I was like, this is where I want to live.
Okay.
But she said no. So
that's funny. Oh man, Yakima's got a little bit of a bad rap, but yeah, that's where I grew up.
Well, do you drink beer?
A little bit. I prefer wine, but I'm kind of like you on a kick where I don't. Yeah. I just don't drink much anymore.
Dude, they got those hops up there in Yakima, though. Most people don't know that's where the hops come from. Yakima, Washington.
Moxie. I used to live right by them, and they get, it's like 25% of the world's hops or more, maybe.
It's crazy. Dude, I live right by Napa Valley, man. We've got wineries all around. California is amazing. It's crazy. People always be hating on California, which I do too. So, anyways,
it's just your politics. It's not the people.
It's nuts out here. It's so divisive. People are so divisive, and it's sad, man. It's sad how divisive and extreme everything is out here. But you know what's not sad is 11-year-old kids in 2022 who are riding their bikes around town. That's not sad. That's awesome. Sure, nowadays you see these kids here in California, they're not riding bikes. You know what they're riding, dude? They're driving these freaking $400 e-scooters now. But hey, better than nothing, right? Right? I'd rather see a kid on an e-scooter than having that kid on a $400 device in their house become screen addicted or being on Discord or something like that, or some stupid app. Old school stuff. And that's really just to bring you hope. All this, we're going to see a further explosion in technology and AI and ChatGPT and all this other artificial Oculus intelligence is just going to continue. I saw this video today that there's a chance that in the future there will not be actual human beings creating videos on TikTok, but instead companies are going to create human-like videos to make perfect videos. So then I won't be making videos because my videos won't be as good as a freaking AI. Isn't that just freaking gross and weird? Like, not weird. Who wants to live in a world like that, dude? Not me, man. I'll be just taking my family, going down to live in a van down by the river, dude, and eat some squirrel, whatever. That crap.
There you go. I know it's going to come in as like something helpful. Hey, you got this AI that, doesn't lie, cheat, or steal, but
it is.
Anyways, but were you going to say something?
No, I'm just saying it's just really exciting to think that there's a lot of 11-year-old kids, it's just a metaphor, that are riding their bikes right now.
Sure.
And they're playing soccer and they're doorbell ditching their friends and they're wrestling with each other and they're having lattes together and they're, the girls are having sleepovers with each other and they're doing girl talk and they're camping with their families in their trailers and they're having a great Christmas morning together or Hanukkah festivals or whatever they are. And that's just that old school stuff. It's never going to go away. It's always going to be better than anything on a screen.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Do you think, and this just briefly, like you said, how Instagram was kind of causing an issue where people are cutting out relationships instead of maybe fixing and learning to heal, or social media speaking to that. I hear a lot of people say, and I like, in the world that we live in today, though, it's not like when I grew up, where you could be outside all the time. Like, and I think some of that is fed into my fear too, which is like, yeah, with everybody saying that, like, oh, it's not like it was when I was a kid, right? It's not safe out there.
Yeah, well, says who?
Yeah.
Because partly, here's a couple of responses for you. A big reason why the kids today are so screwed up is because of the parents. Because we're the first generation of people who pick up our phones over the last 15 years of our life. We pick up our phones and we read about a kid who was kidnapped in Missouri. And we feel like everyone's getting kidnapped.
And it's just one story.
It's one story, man.
You never would have heard of.
One story, dude. It's one stupid freaking story, horrible story, that one kid in that one town in West Virginia got kidnapped. And we're afraid of letting our 11-year-olds ride their bikes outside without a parent.
Or a helmet.
Hey, man, I'm not like immune to this. I live right on a lake here, and we have to walk through the woods. And, I want my 13-year-old to take our dog down there for walks. And I want her to go, and I'm ready for her to go by herself. I'm comfortable, but, my wife's not. And I don't blame her because she's 13. And I want to give her like some mace, and I want to prepare her. But I don't want her to feel afraid. Like she's just going to get kidnapped if she walks her dog down by the lake, because that's sad that she's going down there. She's looking over her shoulder. When what she's going to see when she looks over her shoulder? She's going to see some freaking like 65-year-old retired couple walking their freaking labs. That's what she's going to look at. 99.99% chance. So what we've done now is that we are such a generation of afraid parents. We have now screwed up our kids by passing our fears onto them. And now we wonder why our kids are screen addicted, anxious, and depressed. We have to look at ourselves. Like, we played a role in this.
Interesting. That's good. And we need to teach them to be wise, right? And just have some street smarts. Teach them the skills, right?
Teach them. So parents are teachers and every home's a school. So we don't teach our kids to be afraid. We don't teach them. It's our job to protect them. No, we teach them to be wise and brave in a dangerous world. That's what we do. We teach them to be wise and brave in a sketchy world. And that empowers them to be wise and brave. And it's scary for them to walk in to their 6th grade social studies class. And it's scary for them to do a speech in English class their junior year of high school. And it might be scary for them to join a new team, or scary for them to go to a party when no one's there. Well, guess what? You're a freaking human being. Welcome to the club. This is what we do. We step into scary things. And we don't just freaking like lower the bar on our kids. You know what? It's okay. Yeah, you're having a hard time at that school? Okay. Well, let me go talk to the principal. Okay, well, we need to get the other parents involved. Oh, we need to find a new school. That school's just not a good fit. No, I can't let you go. I can't let you go to Starbucks by yourself. What are you talking about? You're only 13. What are you talking about? You can't go. You can't go outside. You might get this disease. You might get that. Here, take this device, and I'll get you some other apps, and just stay here at home. It's safe here at home. This is what this is not a fictional tale I just told. This is a dark drama that has been taking place, and we have been doing this. Not every parent has been doing this, though. So there's people that are listening to this, and they're like, yep, that was me. And there's other people that listen to this like, hell no, I never did that. I never did that. But the most of us, we're just somewhere in the middle, right? Just trying to take a day at a time, man. It wasn't that long ago when Amazon packages were coming up to my house, and I was the one, Jeff. I was the one getting weird. I was the one being like, hold on, I heard that the coronavirus could be on the package, so let me wipe it down. Did you ever do that?
Spray it down.
Did you ever do that? Wipe it
I
down?
didn't do that one. Well,
Dude,
I was
I did
weird.
that.
I was weird in other ways. I had to do a infectious disease class every year. And after that class, dude, I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. I was freaked out. I mean, once you learn where germs are at, they are literally everywhere, but it's like, it does gross me out. And then that fades after a few months. And
all right, good. Then you got to take it once a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've just turned into a germaphobe for the next 2 months afterwards.
Fear, man. It's part of that just fuels into another thing for you to struggle with fear and fear cycles. But I'm telling you right now, our ancestors who are rallying around the bonfire every night, right? Or who are, who lived on the family commune in Ireland or Italy or Australia or or Iran or wherever your ancestors were from, when they were rallying around, coming out of their communes, coming around the family dinner every night or the family campfire every night, they didn't think the way we think today. Sure. They were thinking family, love, trust, goodness. And I don't think there were that many confused or anxious teenagers back then, because you got 50 adults all around you, loving you, taking care of you, and you take care of your business on the farm or in your studies. And I mean, it's just a totally different world. We don't have to be a part of that world, right?
I like that. Yeah. Let's just put the effort into having good homes, being good fathers, teaching. I like that. Dealing with your fear, embracing it, figuring it out, essentially, right? Don't let it control you.
This is what we've been this is what I'm trying to answer your question about 20 minutes ago. What does that mean to do work on yourself? Well, this is like an example of the work. It's thinking deeply about yourself and your childhood, your past, your morals, your values, and how it's coming out for good and how it might be coming out in weird ways.
I got a lot to chew on. I mean, I got a page of notes here. I love it. So yeah, do the work. I like the statement. When I get weird, that's going to be a cue for me now. Like, why am I okay? These guys, they don't know what I know. They don't need to know everything I know, but I need to train them so that they can keep themselves safe. So no, you've helped me a ton just with what we've had today, and just in respect of time. I'm just going to wrap things up here, Sean. I really do appreciate you coming on. It's almost like a ministry, but I love what you're doing on social media. You're putting those clips out that resonate to fathers and mothers out there, and probably their kids are wanting their parents to watch them because as they see your clips. But let me put up here how to get a hold of Sean.
Yeah, man.
It is.
You just find me at Parenting Modern Teens. It's my website, and you can also find me on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok as The Family Coach. And I have a lot of free and then some very low price, and then some more expensive things on there. But it's been really cool just chatting with you. Thank you, Jeff, for being so real and so vulnerable and with me, and for giving me that feedback too on hanging out today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. So let me just speak to everyone. You fathers out there, be putting the energy and effort into your faith, family, finances, and fitness, and just take what you heard today. There's a lot to chew on, to overcoming your own fears, training your kids, being realistic with that they don't know what you know, and so don't be weird. I love that one. And then check out The Family Coach, and so make sure that in a year from now, you're a better dad, you're a better husband than you are today. So put the work in to yourself.
Yeah, man.